So today's topic is the 10-day cooling off period. Pre-construction condos and the 10-day cooling off period. Is that a good topic? Has anyone heard me talk about this before? I try to repeat this topic at least once a year. I don't think I've done it yet this year. No, you don't remember it? No? Okay, so that's today's topic, 10-day cooling off period. Let me introduce myself for anyone who doesn't know who I am. Does anyone never met me or heard of me before? No? Anyone?
I think you've been long enough, everybody knows you now.
Okay, everyone knows me. I'm going to introduce myself anyway, because there's nothing more powerful than repeating your name, right? So if you're talking to someone, keep repeating their name and they'll listen to you. Does that make sense? So it's not a trick, it's human nature. If you repeat someone's name, they're going to feel more familiar. They're going to trust you more. So my name is John Poletes. I'm a real estate lawyer. I've been in the real estate business for a long time, since the early 80s. I know your business. I know how to help you. Currently, my main area of practice is residential and commercial real estate closings. We don't sell real estate, we do the closings. We do mortgages and refinancing. I don't broker the mortgages, but I do the security for the mortgages. We do wills and estates. We help people plan what's going to happen after they die. We also process their papers after they die. That's the estate administration. We do purchase and sale of business, commercial leases, and franchise law. So that's quite a few areas of solicitor work that we can help you and your clients with. This is my website, homeclosings.ca. As I told you, I've been in real estate since the early 80s. I started off in commercial real estate. I was an instructor for OREA, for commercial real estate, ICI. I've been on the arbitration committee with TREB. Currently, I'm an instructor for Real Estate Institute of Canada. My real estate education is also formal from York University. I have a certificate in real estate studies from York University. I don't think they offer that anymore, but there's a few people that I do know who have it. Most of them are instructors with Real Estate Institute of Canada. So I deliver a variety of seminars, over 40 topics now, and we have a whole bunch of new topics that are scheduled for the fall that are kind of totally new topics that we've never done before. So this is what I want to talk about. I want to talk about pre-construction condos. How are pre-construction condos different than resale condos? So this is a participatory seminar. I expect to hear some voices because I'm going to ask you questions. This is called Socratic style, and you can give me an answer. There's no right answer. The only wrong answer is the people who don't talk. So how are they different than a resale? And you can also chat your answer too. No calling offer. What does that mean? No holding offer. No cooling off period. Okay? So resales do not have a cooling off period. For some reason, there's a cooling off period in pre-construction condos, but there's no cooling off period in pre-construction houses. Why is that? Does anyone know? So pre-construction condos have something called consumer protection. Who made up the consumer protection? Where does it come from? Does it come from Trudeau? Federal government? Does it come from Ford, provincial government? Why do we have consumer protection for pre-construction condos? No one knows?
No.
Someone knows for sure. All right, so I will tell you. So the reason we have consumer protection is because the agreement of purchase and sale is a rather long agreement. And we see that there's a lot of areas of consumer protection that come and go in different aspects of law. So you all know that there's consumer protection for door-to-door sales. Are you all aware of that? There's consumer protection for timeshares. Are you all aware of that? That there's been consumer protection for timeshares. There's a 10-day cooling off period. If you buy a timeshare, you can change your mind, get your money back without giving a reason. And that's the same for pre-construction condos. And the reason being is our legislature, our provincial legislature, has had a lot of complaints, and our government has decided that the consumer is not able to deal with the complexity of the builder's agreement of purchase and sale. And one thing that I learned when I was training to be a lawyer during articling is you do not want to review other people's documents. You want to create the documents for other people to review. Why is that? Why does it matter who prepares the document? Does it matter? If you prepare the offer, you have control over what's in the offer. So if the builder's preparing the offer that he wants you to sign, offering to him, he's going to draft the offer to whose advantage?
His advantage.
The other party.
The builder wants all the advantages in the offer. And that's why they prepare it. And it also doesn't make sense that if a builder has to sell 500 apartments in a building, that 500 different real estate agents will use form, what is it, form 150 for condo? Which form is it? They'll use form 150 and he'll have 500 different offers. They have to review each offer differently. Does that make sense? It becomes kind of confusing for the builder. So the whole idea is that for expediency, the builder prepares one agreement of purchase and sale. But our parliament, the provincial parliament, has decided that this may not be fair to the consumer. Why is it unfair to the consumer? Has anyone ever been to a pre-construction offering where the builder has an opening day and they start offering things? They start offering condos for sale? What happens during this opening day? Someone says fast and furious. What does that mean? Riaz? On the opening day.
Wow, it just means that there is a lot of offers going back and forth, and people, consumers, sometimes you have to change units, prices change, and it becomes very, very difficult to keep track of. Even as a buyer, it makes it very difficult to keep track of what's available, what's not available, because you have to change units perhaps at the last minute, and maybe not have time to review all the clauses.
Yeah, I went to a pre-construction opening about 20 years ago, and it was open for the brokerage community, but most of the brokers had got their clients and they were rating deals on the spot. Why was that? They were rating deals on the spot. It was like a carnival atmosphere. Everyone is very anxious. They were serving drinks and they were serving snacks and lunch, but some people had 2 or 3 clients with them and they wrote 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 deals. Do you think they had a chance to negotiate? Do you think that they had a chance to review what was written in the 30 or 50 page document that the builder gave them to sign? Has any of you, okay, so for sure, there's a room of over 40 people. Of the 40 people, has anyone ever bought a pre-construction condo? Even if you don't want to participate now, you have to, because everyone's bought a pre-construction condo. Am I right? At least half. You can go to the chat feature if you're too shy, or you can speak up. So what is the atmosphere when you're buying a pre-construction condo? Does anyone sit and read the fine print? What's included in the fine print? So we said there's about a 30-page agreement of purchase and sale that's drafted to benefit the builder only. Is that right? So Faye says no one reads the fine print. This document is benefits the builder only because the builder's lawyer prepares it. He's not gonna try to make a document and he's gonna charge his client $5,000 or $10,000 for drafting an agreement of purchase and sale that benefits the buyer. That lawyer would be fired in a minute. So the lawyer always works to benefit his own client. So Benush says it's a one-way contract. Yeah, it's a two-way contract, but all the benefits are one way. The buyer has obligations and the seller has obligations, but most of the fine print is written to benefit the seller. So that's why our government has made a 10-day cooling off period, because this document is a one-sided document. And usually we get a disclosure statement with it that kind of translates some of the fine print that's in the document. Usually it translates any conditions that are written into the document and any extra expenses, any costs. So what do I need to know when I'm buying something like this, when I'm buying a pre-construction? What do I talk to every client about? So most clients want to know about timing. So if I'm buying a unit today that is a pre-construction sale, am I going to see construction on the site?
No.
Possibly not. Will I see hoarding? I may only see a sign on the site. Will they have a permit? They might not even have a building permit. They may say this agreement is conditional upon us obtaining a building permit. So what do I need to know if I'm a buyer or if I'm representing a buyer? I need to know when the move-in date is. Is that important? Do I need to know what the occupancy fee covers? How am I going to find out? Do I need to know when the final closing is? So Chris says you're going to make tons of money. Why are we going to make tons of money, Chris? When you sell. Okay, yeah. So Chris is saying, yeah, it's a good opportunity to buy pre-constructions because generally speaking, the market tends to go up over the years. Is it true? So the market values keep increasing, and that's if they keep increasing, but that's not a rule. I would say that's a trend. That's been the trend over quite a few years in Ontario, but the trend can reverse itself. So I will say, yes, Chris, generally I agree with you, but it's not written. It's not written in stone, okay? It can go down, and we have seen markets go down. I'm not out to give you a market prediction. It's anyone's guess where the market is going. And over the past almost 40 years that I've been watching the real estate market, the trend has been up. 40 years ago, I should have bought everything I could have bought. And I'd have lots of real estate today that'd be worth maybe 8 or 10 times what we paid. So basically, this is what I have to discuss with the client: the timing, the further deposits that are paid, what their obligations are during occupancy, what the occupancy fee covers, and when the final closing takes place. So basically, why is this all important? All of these things have financial impacts on your clients. When they're going to pay and what they're going to pay is very important to people. People do not want to have surprises. They want to be able to plan. So if you're signing an agreement in 2021, when do you think this first occupancy date will be? If I'm looking at a building today that's just being planned, when do you think the occupancy date will be?
2023 or 24.
25.
Yeah,
For
I
a
agree.
condo, 25.
Those are all reasonable expectations. 25. So what is outside occupancy date if it's 25? So if they're telling us we're going to give you occupancy in 25, what is the outside occupancy date?
Another year.
Another year
26.
later, so 26. So who remembers what they had for breakfast a year ago? No one, right?
That's right.
Unless you're eating oatmeal every day. And I can almost guarantee you that you won't remember what you had for breakfast last Friday. Okay, most people don't remember. So these things take planning and understanding what happens. So let's talk a little bit about occupancy fee. So what's occupancy fee? Occupancy fee, after you make your further deposits, the builder is going to give us the key and say you can occupy the unit. And you're thinking, oh, this is good, now I can live there. Yes, you can live there, but the occupancy fee is based on your deposits. And in addition to the unpaid balance of the deposit, you're going to have to pay some interest, an estimate for property taxes, and an estimate for maintenance fees for monthly common expense contributions for the unit. So we call this sometimes, we call this occupancy rent or phantom mortgage. Has anyone heard those words? That's what the occupancy fee is.
Yeah.
So how are the common expenses estimated? Who makes the estimate of what the maintenance fees are? I remember a number that I used to hear all the time. I don't hear it so often. It was an amount per square foot. Do you remember what amount per square foot people used to quote? Even 10 years ago, up until a couple years ago. Anyone remember? What was the price per square foot? Someone knows here.
65 cents per square feet.
Yeah, 65 cents. How long ago did you hear that?
About 8 years ago.
8 years ago. Yeah, I even remember 50 cents a square foot people were quoting. And 65, but what is the realistic price per square foot that people are paying for maintenance fees?
$1.
Yeah, that sounds more reasonable. So for 600 square feet, $600 sounds more reasonable, doesn't it?
Yep.
550 to 600. So if you read a maintenance fee that was budgeted by a builder, and the builder says the first year budget, our maintenance fee is 600 a month, will it be 600 a month?
No.
It may be underestimated. So what will happen if it's underestimated?
They raise it up when you move in.
Yeah, there'll be an increase as soon as the builder gives over the control of the board to the condo corporation. And sometimes the builder will increase it just before the closing. He'll say, based on inflation, based on these reasons, we're allowed to increase it now. So even though I gave you a quote of 400 a month, now it's 600 a month. Can you do that?
Yes.
Absolutely, you can do that. So basically, any deficits that happen during the first year fall on the builder, and it's in his interest to come up with a reasonable amount after it's occupied. Majinder is asking me, is 10-day cooling off period including weekends, or is it only work days? So 10 days is 10 days. So what does 10 days mean?
Including weekends.
So what is the date today? Can someone tell us what the date is today? Today is the 10th. What is 10 days from now?
28.
Yeah, we're not counting weekends different. Weekends count as days. Holidays count as days. So remember that. It's not business days. It's not any other work days. It's just days. That's all it is. That's what the law says. It's from the day that the agreement is accepted. Okay. So let's talk about the 2-year crunch. So usually when I review status certificates, if it's a resale, I usually warn people about what happens in the second year. What happens in the second year? There's a catch-up budget, and if there's underestimated fees and underestimated funds, who has to pay for these? All the unit owners. So usually I expect to see an increase happen after the second year budget. And quite often you see in condos that there's a bunch of deferred expenses for rental equipment, like a VTB mortgage or HVAC system. And in some cases I've seen elevators and heating systems and so on, right? And that gets added to the maintenance fees. Chris says after 2 years, the fees go up. So remember that. So what I want you to remember is that most people never read these disclosure statements because they're complex. And what is your role? Because when you take your client to the builder sale, what's to stop your client from making a deal, even though he hasn't read anything? So if he likes the price, he can make a deal because the cooling off period is a no questions asked cooling off period. 10-day rescission. You give back your documents, give them a notice, and get your deposit check back. So the whole idea here is do not rely on anything verbal or any representations made from the marketing materials. It's what's in the four corners of the contract. I tell everyone to go to a lawyer to get it reviewed. And there's different levels of review. Because remember, this is 30 pages agreement, plus another 15 or 20 pages Terry on warranty document. Our review is limited to some very basic things. Anything that's financial, anything that has to do with occupancy, assignment, and renting during the occupancy period. That's the stuff that we talk about. But there's a lot more things that can be reviewed. But most people do not want to spend the money on a very detailed agreement of purchase and sale review. And from my experience, the builder is not going to really negotiate all the terms of the contract. So the stuff that I told you now, anything that's financial and anything to do with assignment and occupancy and renting during occupancy, those are the things we try to achieve during this 10-day cooling off period. And that meets with the expectation of our clients. So we limit the review to those things. We explain to the client, and we do charge them a small fee. Has anyone had this done for themselves? So the fee that we charge is $250 for a review. That's what we charge. And we give them the review in writing. And I can tell you that of all the people that get our reviews, probably 99% go ahead and firm up the deal with a builder. And almost all of them negotiate something a little better than what they had, okay? So what is your responsibility when you're taking your client to a builder? Because are you actually negotiating the agreement or are you doing something else? What are you doing? What value do you offer to your client? Do you draft the agreement of purchase and sale?
No.
Okay, do you negotiate the terms? Or do they tell you you can leave the room now after you introduce them?
You can leave the room now and go to your lawyer.
Yeah, some of them kick you out. Some of them don't. Some of them say, thank you for referring your client. And what do they give you? Do they give you anything? Do they give you some sandwich or something? What do they give you when you bring your client there?
Nothing.
Well, you should be
Thank
getting
you.
at least what they call a worksheet. What's a worksheet?
Showing your name that you're representing your client.
Say that again?
Showing that you brought the client in and you're representing the client and you're
Yeah,
not
so
going to get.
the worksheet is some kind of commission agreement. And I'm going to tell you this so you'll never forget it. If it's not listed on MLS, you're not going to get paid unless you have a commission agreement. You must have an agreement to pay commission when you take your client to a builder. If you take your client to a builder and you do not have a commission agreement or worksheet or whatever they want to call it, you will not get paid. And I can tell you, I know agents who have come to my office and they say, can you do a 10-day cooling off for my client? How long have you been in the business? This is my first deal. Oh, good for you. He says, yeah, it's my first deal, but I'm not getting paid because when I went to show the client to give the client access to the sale, what happened? It was my first day in the business. I didn't have business cards. I was too embarrassed to tell them I don't have business cards. So what happened? He didn't tell them he was an agent. So the builder did not give any type of commission agreement because he didn't know. So the client says, now, what can I do to get a commission agreement? Or another client, the agent, can he get it now?
After my client signed it, no.
Sometimes.
You think it's done, right? That's what he thought too. So I sent him back and I told him, this is the cooling off period. You should go and ask. And in that case, in that particular case, the builder agreed. And then I gave my comments and we were able to firm up the deal. And the client got some extra rights that they didn't have under the agreement of purchase and sale. Okay. So what I say to everyone is the service that you're providing is very limited. So you're not really reviewing the agreement. You're just introducing your client to a building. And what else? And you may be giving them some strategy as to what to buy, which unit is best for them, which floor is best, which exposure is better than others. And why does the client need you to go to these pre-construction sales? Can they go on their own? Are they open to the public? Pardon me?
Yes, they can go on their own.
Yeah, usually the way the builders launch these pre-construction sales is first they do it through the brokerage community. And they'll give various brokers, depending on the amount of agents they have, some preferred accesses, right? And I know your company has preferred access to a lot of pre-sales. Does that make sense? So basically, the advantage the client gets from working with you is that you're going to give them preferred access, because by the time they open to the public, they will have finished with the brokerage community and they will have sold maybe 60 or 80% of the units. So if someone wants a certain size and a certain exposure, they're not going to get it unless they go early to an early pre-construction sale. Okay. So who explains the agreement of purchase and sale? Who reviews the builder forms?
The salesperson in the office, in the pre-construction office should.
Salesperson doesn't explain anything. He just says, sign here.
Well, he should.
So you want to rely on a lawyer that's going to take care of your client's interest. And you have to explain to them that it is important that they get a lawyer's review. And I'll tell you why. Because if they don't get a lawyer's review, they'll have a surprise when it comes closer to closing. They may find that they have tens of thousands of hidden costs built into the agreement, and they don't have a whole lot of rights. They won't have a whole lot of rights in dealing with all these hidden costs, and they may or may not have the right to assign or to rent it during occupancy. And the reason I say this is a lot of people, I would say 50% of the people who are buying pre-construction condos are investors, maybe 60% or 70% in some circumstances. They're investors, they're buying something that's going to close in the future, and they don't know what they're going to do with it, right? So what do I need to talk to the clients about during the cooling off period? These are the 4 things I need to explain to the client. So the first thing is critical dates. The second thing is HST rebate, adjustments, and prohibitions on renting and assigning. Okay, so critical dates is when the occupancy date happens. HST rebate. So there's a clause in the agreement that says part of the price is that you're going to assign the HST rebate to the builder. You're not going to benefit from it, but you warrant and represent that you qualify for the rebate and you're going to give it to the builder, right? The third thing is adjustments. Adjustments is a very broad category of financial burdens that are undisclosed in the agreement other than in fine print. So on the agreement of purchase and sale, you might see a price that says 500, and then we find out on the closing date that the price is actually 530 plus HST, plus a portion of the HST. These are big surprises for people. So is $30,000 extra adjustments material to your clients? Or 40,000? For sure it is. $5 is not material. A couple $100 is not material, but we're not talking about small amounts. And as you all know, every agreement has a prohibition on renting and assigning. So unless we take care of these adjustments and the prohibitions on renting and assigning, you're going to have something that's not assignable later if your client changes their mind. So 4 or 5 years from now, it'll be very hard for them to get rid of the unit if they change their mind, and they will risk their closing. So a proper pre-construction review is the foundation of a proper assignment to be done later. And I can tell you now, I'm seeing more and more builders give some assignment rights, but it's not what we really need. Usually we need something that's a little more generous, okay? So these are typical agreements that I will be closing this year, okay? So a typical agreement may have been signed in 2015. The first occupancy date was in 2018 or 2019, and because of strikes, it's been delayed to 2021. Do you think anyone would walk away from this? If they had signed the contract in 2015, if they don't have occupancy by September, is it possible they'll walk away?
No.
Yeah, why is that?
Absolutely not.
Why should he get such good deal?
Yeah, of course, 2015. 2015, it's gone up in value 6 years. We're happy the builder made delays. If we wanted to live there, we may be anxious, but all it means is we're going to stay a little longer in our place. And if we own it, the place that we have has gone up in value. The place that we're buying has gone up in value, but we're going to pay the 2015 price. And even if we never owned a place, we were able to save more money to pay debt, so we don't have as big a mortgage. So it's all a win-win when it goes long. So everyone wants a long closing date as long as possible. In my career, I've only seen one person walk away from a long closing, and that was a very unusual circumstance. It was a person who had lung cancer caused by asbestos, and he received a big settlement from a class action lawsuit, and he didn't care about money anymore, and he just wanted out. He didn't want to have any responsibilities, and that's what he was happy about. So why are we talking about HST rebate assigned to the builder? On a 500,000 apartment, how much is it, this HST rebate? Does anyone know? So if my price is 500,000 and we don't move into the unit because we plan to rent it or we plan to sell it, what is the amount that the builder is going to charge us? Someone wrote it here. Anyone see that? 24,000. It could be anywhere up to 24,000. So it's basically 1/3 of the PST and 2/3 of the GST. 1/3 of the PST up to I think 450, and 2/3 of the GST up to 500,000. So the total comes up to 24,000. If we don't occupy it as a primary residence, the builder is going to say, I'm adding 24,000 to your statement of adjustments. You're going to pay that extra. Is that fair? What happens if we want to rent it? Can we get the money back somehow? The builders charge us an extra 24,000. There is a rebate available, but it's not available till after closing. So you get it back with a copy of the agreement of purchase and sale, statement of adjustments, the 1-year lease from the registration closing, and a filled out application. A lot of people do this on their own. A lot of people give it to a service to do for them. Most of the services charge $500 or $600 to fill out the form. It's not a very complicated form. A lot of my clients fill out it on their own. Some of them get their accountant to do it, right? You can get it back if you're a landlord, but you must have it for the closing. And guess what? The bank doesn't loan you extra money for HST. You just have to have the money, the extra $24,000. So if you don't have it and you're not moving in, it creates a problem. A lot of people will say, we don't qualify, but we're going to lie to the lawyer and tell them that we're going to occupy it. Why do they do that? Because they want the builder to credit it back to them so they don't have to apply to get it back from HST. These people always get caught. Why do they get caught? Who reports on them? I don't report on them. Who reports on them? Does anyone know? They sign a false affidavit so they can take advantage of the rebate.
The building management, the building manager can report them.
It could be the builder, but I know the builder doesn't report on them. The builder may catch them, but you won't believe who reports on them every single time.
Tenants?
No, they report on themselves. They don't realize it, but they report on themselves when they do their first tax return, because this gets cross-referenced. They show it as a scheduled rental property or a property that they may have sold to collect the capital gain, and then it goes to HST, and HST will audit them. And they'll ask for the money back. It takes 2 to 3 years, and HST will be entitled to collect interest on the money that they improperly collected through the builder. So that's a big problem. Okay, so let's keep going. So if you don't qualify, don't try to take the rebate from the builder, because you will be caught and you will be reporting on yourself. It happens every single time. So this is what I review. My main focus of review is any prepaid expenses, prepaid property tax, maintenance fees, prepaid rents, and deposits owing to tenants. These are usual adjustments that we review, but builder adjustments are different. These are usual adjustments in every resale agreement of purchase and sale, okay? But when you're doing adjustments for builders, there's a lot more adjustments. So I can tell you that in most cases, there's about 30 adjustments. I think I have 15 of them written down here. So law society fee, that's a builder's fee to the law society for having an uninsured transaction. Why is it an uninsured transaction? As a buyer, as a buyer's lawyer, we do not pay the law society fee because we buy title insurance. The builder is a seller. He doesn't buy title insurance for sales. So why are we paying his law society fee? Does anyone know? Because he had a lawyer who wrote it into the contract. The buyer will pay my law society fee. And that's just how it is. If you agree to it, if you don't cross it out, you're going to pay it. It's only $65 plus HST. Deposit processing fee. What's that? Every time you give the builder a deposit, someone has to handle the deposit. And the builder says, I have administrative costs. You pay for my administrative costs for my business. The deposit processing fee, is it $50 a deposit? Is it $150? I've seen it as high as $250 per deposit. And if you read the agreement of purchase and sale, many people have a schedule of 5 or 6 deposits. So if it's 5 deposits at $250, that's $1,250. Is your client aware they're going to pay an extra $1,250 because they've given 5 checks?
Can you scratch this one off?
That's our job. Our job is to cross them out or to negotiate something smaller. A more reasonable deposit fee may be $50, right?
Yeah.
Mortgage discharge fees and administration fees. These are two different categories. The builder may say, there's an administration fee for us to do everything for you, get the place ready. He builds it in, just like in car sales. They say administration fee, $250 every time you buy a car. There's an administration fee for the dealer's dealership. Mortgage discharge fee. What's that about? The builder has a blanket mortgage on the project. Blanket mortgage means it's registered against all the units. Every time he discharges the mortgage, he may have one or two mortgages on the unit he's selling us. The builder may have to pay to discharge it. And he says, I'm going to pass this cost on to you, $450 per mortgage. I had two mortgages on the unit you're buying, Chris. You give me an extra $900. Is that fair?
No.
Or Carrie, what do you think? Should we be paying the builder's mortgage discharge fees?
No, why should we?
Are we entitled to clear title? Yes, the builder says, yeah, I'm giving you clear title, but you pay my mortgage discharge fees because my lawyer wrote it into the fine print and you never read it. So now you're going to pay me. That's how it is. Development charges, what are those? Development charges and educational development charges. So development charges is something the municipality charges the builder for each unit. How much are they? How much can they be? Does anyone know?
Pretty high.
Are they 5,000, 7,000, 30,000, 60,000?
Depends on the size of the unit.
Depends on the size of the unit and the wording of the agreement. So the agreement may say you're going to pay all of the development charges and educational development charges, or it may say that you're going to pay the increase in development charges after a certain date. Okay? If it's all of the development charges, it can easily be 30 to 40,000. If your client ended up with that, and I have seen people that have come to me that I didn't do the pre-construction review, they move in during the occupancy period, their agreement had no capping, and they had an extra 40,000 to give on the final closing, and they moved out. They gave the builder the keys back. They lost all of their deposits. It was a financial disaster for them. So these are things that we want to delete or to cap. Parks levies, public art, we want to delete or cap them or have them down to an amount that we can all understand. How about Tarion enrollment fee? That's for the warranty.
This you have to pay.
Everyone knows in Ontario that the warranty is mandatory. Is that right?
Yeah.
For new home sales. So, but the law doesn't say who must pay for the warranty. So the builder puts it into the agreement and he says, I'm going to give you the warranty because I'm a nice builder, but you pay for it. He doesn't make a profit on it, but you're going to pay the whole warranty. How much is the warranty on a $500,000 or $600,000 apartment? $1,200, $1,400 plus HST. Okay, so I can tell you that I don't try to negotiate the warranty. I try to negotiate everything else. It's pretty expected that the buyer will pay for the warranty. I will tell you that I've done closings in the Bridle Path area where the house was 7 or 8 or 9 million and it had a Tarion warranty, and I put it in as an item that I cross out, and the builder accepted it there because it's a very small amount for the money that's being transferred, right, for the unit. But the whole idea is we have to educate the client, make them aware what their obligations are. So these are other costs that we find in most agreements that are not capped and they're not defined. So HST on chattels. What chattels are there included in an agreement of purchase and sale? Someone's bought from a builder here. For sure you know what's included. What chattels does the builder give you?
Appliances.
Yeah, stainless steel things, right? Stainless steel fridge and stove and washer, dryer, dishwasher, exhaust fan, maybe built-in microwave. Maybe there's a wine fridge. What is the value of these appliances? Is it 10,000? Is it 20,000? What's HST on 10,000? Builder says, I'm giving you free appliances, but you pay the HST on it. But he uses the word chattels. How much is HST on appliances? Does anyone know?
Over $1,000.
It's 13%. So on $10,000, it's easily 1,300 bucks. On 20,000 appliances, it's 2,600 bucks. So it's a fair amount of money. What about hydro, water, and gas meter installations? Do we pay these for resale? You're going to say it's already installed on resales, but it is already installed by the builder because he can't get an occupancy permit without gas, hydro, and water meters installed. But he's put it into the agreement. He's hidden it in the agreement, and he's telling us that we have to pay for these installations. Does that make sense? So how much is each of these meter installations cost? What does it cost?
A few $100 each.
How much?
A few $100 each.
Yeah,
Connection.
I would say that the three of them are usually under 2,000, all three together. So between $500 and $600 per meter, plus HST. Return check fee. Why does the builder charge us a return check fee? Has anyone ever had a return check? Why would you have a return check? There's a lot of reasons. One reason is you changed bank accounts and you forgot you gave post-dated checks. Another reason is you don't have money in the account, or the money went in a day late and the check cleared in the morning and your money went in the afternoon. You didn't have enough money. So that's called an NSF. So now the builder says you've had 2 NSFs. That's an extra $1,000. Why does he charge us this? He's trying to recapture his administrative costs, right? And it's free money for him if he can get it. 2 or 3 months maintenance fees. Can anyone argue this? That goes to the reserve fund. I think everyone's really quiet today because they don't like Monday, right? I love Monday, I'll tell you that. I'm happy to get into the routine. So 2 to 3 months maintenance fees is a very normal contribution to the reserve fund. If our maintenance fee is $500 or $600 a month, every unit in the building is going to contribute $1,000 or $1,500 to the reserve fund on the final closing. That way they have an amount on balance should they need any repairs or replacements. So they're not starting with zero. If they don't do it at the beginning, they're going to do it after the first year as a catch-up amount. And usually people are not happy to have those catch-up amounts. So this is a very common clause. The client just has to know that he has to pay it. There's no arguing it. Just have to have him budget for the money. We talked about HST rebate. So potentially the client might have to have an HST rebate directly from the seller, or he has to get it from Minister of Finance after the closing. There's also a status certificate fee and electronic delivery of document fees. There's a good question here from Chris. He says, that's why you need to ask for capped fee on all these items, including development charges and tree planting. So what I do is I prefer not to cap, I prefer to delete, because some of these items are not proper to begin with. Why should we participate? If I want to cap anything, I would only cap one thing here, and that would be the development charges and educational development charges. I would want everything else to be deleted if I could. Some of them I don't even argue about. I'm not going to argue about the status certificate fee. It's $100. Electronic delivery of documents fee, like some of the small things. We try to focus on the big things. Okay, the things that we can't argue, like the Terran warranty and the maintenance fee contribution to the reserve fund, I don't bother arguing with it because it's not reasonable. We have to try to stick with what we can reasonably win with the builder, and I can tell you that I see agreements that have been capped by me and then no capping at all by no lawyer, and they're very different. It's tens of thousands of difference to your clients on the final closing. Prohibitions on renting. Why does the builder have a provision in the agreement prohibiting renting or assigning? Why does the purchaser want to rent? If the purchaser is not moving in, he says, this is a vacant unit, I should be able to rent it because I'm paying occupancy fees every month. Is that understood? But as soon as the purchaser rents it, with the builder's consent, they will lose the rebate for HST. He can apply for it after closing, but if after he loses the rebate, he has to come up with the extra $24,000 on the closing date, okay? There's also an assignment provision in most agreements that say you're not allowed to do assignments. What is the builder prohibited? So the builder prohibits it because his agreement says you're going to occupy it. And if you're assigning to someone else, he doesn't know if they're going to occupy it, and it does affect the money the builder gets based on HST. So our experience is if the builders do permit us to do assignments, we try to get these assignments for free. We try to ask for a free assignment. Sometimes the builder has it written into the agreement that he'll allow us to do an assignment for a fee, $1,500 or $2,000. It all depends on what fee he writes in. But the idea is because our plans can change over time and the value has gone up, why should we walk away from a transaction or just keep it vacant until the final closing? It could take a year when we can do an assignment or we can rent it until it comes up to final closing. So we always ask for free rental right, cross out the prohibition on renting during occupancy, and the free assignment right. This is very basic. It's a very basic request. Usually, even if the builder has given us an assignment fee for an amount, we always ask for free. If the market is very hot, the builder might not be too negotiable. Okay, so these are my coordinates. My name is John Poletes. I'm a real estate lawyer. I'll take any questions that you have. I think we have about 3 or 4 minutes left. We do these pre-construction reviews all the time. And the whole idea is we take care of your client's interest. We make it easier for them to rent it during occupancy, make it easier for them to assign it. And we make it easy for you to make 2 deals instead of 1. Because if you help them in the beginning, you'll probably help them again when they want to assign it or rent it. And we get it ready for the second deal as well. Because no one can complain about having things properly taken care of.
Thank you so much for watching. If you like our video, please hit the like button, the subscribe, and even the little bell to get notifications, just so you can stay in touch and watch more of these great videos.